Day 6, October 24th, 2024, 10 a.m. Prosecutor Nick McClelland, please use your best voice. Dulin. I'm Dan Dulin, a conservation officer with the Department of Natural Resources. This is my 26th year. I'm a captain. I've had special training and schooling. I co-learned about natural resource laws at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, criminal law, and law enforcement officer in Indiana field training. McClelland. Your primary duties are to reinforce DNR laws? Dulin. Yes, DNR, hunting and fishing. I have the authority to enforce any laws anywhere in Indiana. My first 15 years were in county and 10 years in Carroll County. In February 2017, at that time, I was a lieutenant at the Lafayette office. On February 16, 2017, my role was to assist the investigation. It was my first day back to work. I went to the command center. I had been out of town, but came back to work February 16th. McClelland. When did you first start following up on the tip leads? Dulin. February 18, 2017. I first started following up on leads. There were briefings in the AM. Lead sheets were printed out and given to the law enforcement officers, and we were tasked with finding out where they were. McClelland. When you got a lead sheet, what info was in a lead? The lead sheet. The name, the way to contact, a phone number or address, a basic sentence or two as to why the tip lead needed following up. McClelland. How many per day? Dulin. It varied. It wasn't every day that I would do tip leads. Investigators would ask me to track things down. Depending on how complex the lead was, I would check it, get the story, and turn it back. There were two kinds of lead sheets. Complex leads, I would check the lead, get the story, and turn it back. I would also follow through on other leads. McClelland. McClelland presents Dulin with exhibit number 229. The original lead sheet containing the person who is reporting a brief narrative needs to be contacted, the lead number. Is this the lead sheet that you followed up on for Richard Allen? Dulin. Yes. McClelland. I would like to publish exhibit number 229 to the jury. Captain Dulin, hold up the lead sheet and explain it, please. Dulin. It simply explains who received the lead, the source. It has Richard Allen Whiteman and the narrative section. The bottom has the identifying number, the status of the lead, a general description of what I'm supposed to do, make contact with the person. McClelland. What did you do? Dulin. I contacted him by phone. McClelland. Did you speak with him? Dulin. Our first preference is to visit his house. The second preference is to have him come into law enforcement facilities. I requested to come to his house and then to the station, and he denied both. He wanted to meet me at a grocery store parking lot. McClelland. On the tip lead sheet, did it say, quote, Richard Allen Whiteman? Did you address him as Richard Allen Whiteman? Dulin. I don't recall. McClelland. When did you find out? Dulin. When I met him at the grocery store parking lot, and I went through the lead that he had reported, that he was on the trail between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. He adjusted the times to me by half an hour. McClelland. Had he seen anyone else? Dulin. He saw 3 girls at the Freedom Bridge at the beginning of his hike, but didn't see inaudible. Regarding the Farm Bureau building parking lot, we had a conversation about where he parked. He said he parked on the east side of the Hoosier Heartland Highway, commonly known as the old DCS office. He said he walked toward the High Bridge, and he was looking at his stock ticker. I'm taking notes on the back of the lead sheet. It was a brief encounter, no longer than 10 minutes, no audio recording and no video recording. McClelland, why not? Dulin, I record if the tip lead turns into a full investigation. Then I record. McClelland, did you take notes? Dulin, yes. I gained additional information on his phone. He had it with him that day. McClelland, you gathered the MEID and the MEID hex numbers? Dulin, yes. After the interview was concluded, I did my notes. I put the notes into a Word document. The Word document summary turns into an investigative summary that includes his driver's license and DMV pic. Then I submit the packet. McClelland presents Dulin exhibit number 230. Dulin, this is my Word document taken by my handwritten notes. McClelland, when did you create this Word document? Dulin, within the hour. I sat in the parking lot at the city building the same day as the interview. McClelland presents exhibit number 231. The driver's license and DMV photo scan for Allen and the summary of Allen from Dulin. Rosie, no objection, but please redact his social security number. Note, I could see the driver's license photo of Allen that is similar or the same as a photo that has been published in the news. Allen had a tiny amount of hair buzz cut, a blue background, and he was not smiling. McClelland, he told you he ran into 3 girls as he was headed toward the High Bridge? Dulin, yes. McClelland, did he tell you which direction? Dulin, I don't recall. McClelland, what did you do next? Dulin, I returned to the command center and submitted the lead sheet. I did not follow up on this lead. McClelland enters exhibit number 232. Do you recognize this? Dulin, the top half is the lead sheet. The bottom half is additional information from exhibit number 229. Someone has taken my tip narrative report from my Word document and retyped it into Orion. McClelland, does the wording represent what you submitted? Dulin, yes. 10:30 a.m. McClelland, fast forward to September 2022. Dulin, I received a call from Steve Mullen, and he asked if I recalled any interactions with Richard Allen. The name didn't sound familiar. In my office, I have binders where conservation officers conducted interviews. I used the search bar at the bottom left of my computer and brought up Richard Allen. Then I went and found the binder. McClelland, after reviewing, did it refresh? Dulin, I contacted the investigator in Delphi, told him what I remembered, and said, here are the documents in my file. They were obviously looking at Richard Allen. I used my resources from my point-of-sale system, which included the outdoor licensing system. If you purchase a fishing, turkey, or hunting license, it has your name, address, height, and weight. Every license that you ever bought is in the database. I was able to locate his phone number and email address. Something stuck out, though. He had bought a fishing license, him and his wife, throughout the years, Richard and Kathy Allen. The initial screen was from a historical standpoint. The IP address, change in email, and secondary search showed any changes that he made to his physical profile. On April 1st, 2017, Richard Allen changed his height from 5'4" to 5'6" and decreased his weight. He had made 2 changes. McClelland, is it fair to say that people change their height and weight? Dulin, yes, they increase weight as we get older. This was odd Typically, we get a little shorter as we age. This was in the back of my mind. McClelland. Describe what he's wearing. Dulin. A long-sleeved blue shirt. Note. I observed Richard talking while Dulin is describing him on the witness stand. Cross-examination. Rosie. He actually did call to speak to an officer. The tip indicated he called. In other words, no email. Dulin. I have no idea how he contacted law enforcement. Rosie. During his first call, he left his phone number? Dulin. Yes. Rosie. Was it the correct number? Dulin. Yes. Rosie. Shortly after you contacted him, within minutes to an hour, he showed up at the store? Dulin. Yes. Note. Once again, I observe Richard Allen's talking in the well of the court, with his hand on his face, shaking his head no very strongly. Rosie. Was it just northwest of town? There are only 2 grocery stores in town, the Wallmans and the Save-A-Lot, near the Pizza Hut and Dairy Queen. Inaudible. Dulin. He didn't. The tip lead sheet says that he self-reported he was there between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. He told me that he was there between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Note. Richard Allen is nodding his head yes to this line of questioning with his pen in his mouth. Rosie. That was your interpretation of the lead sheet? Dulin. Yes. My report, exhibit number 230, between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m., based on what he told me himself. Rosie. On the 18th you met him. Nothing stuck out as unusual? He wasn't armed? You don't recall what he was wearing? Dulin. No. Rosie. Your notes would be the most accurate? McClelland. Objection. Dulin. Investigator Mullen called me, and as soon as I read my notes, I remembered about the stock ticker, that he said he was on his phone on his stock ticker. It's hard to hear this part of Dulin's testimony. It's 10:47 a.m. Rosie. May I approach? Page 29 of your deposition. On that day, I asked you if you had any independent recollection of him. You didn't know Richard Allen. Dulin. No. Rosie. You had the wrong name on your report of Richard Allen Whiteman? Dulin. I was provided the name when I was provided the lead sheet. The lead sheet said, quote, Richard Allen Whiteman, and I corrected it. I stated in my narrative. I don't know if there was some alias? McClelland. Objection. Ask and answer. Rosie. He asked me a question. Rosie raises his voice. He testified earlier that he thought Allen was changing his height and weight. There were serial numbers. There were lots of numbers. Dulin. Yes. Rosie. There's a reference for a possible follow-up on your report. Dulin. Yes. Rosie. You didn't ask him what he was wearing. Driving. You weren't really sure if he used those words about the name of the building where he parked. Dulin. I'm 100% confident that he said he parked slightly north of the Freedom Bridge on the east side of the Hoosier-Heartland Highway. If I put the Farm Bureau building, that was an error on my part. In 2017, he changed the weight and height on his fishing license. Note, Allen is watching and gazing intently at the jury. Rosie. You don't know who input that info to buy the license or who purchased? Dulin. You need a username and password to get into the system. Note. Kathy Allen is writing notes during Dulin's testimony in a tiny little palm-sized notepad. One of a handful of times I saw her taking notes. She didn't do it often during the course of the trial. Rosie. He changed it from 5'4" to 5'6", you noticed? In the historic records since 2005, for 12 years. There were many other references to 5'6"? Dulin. Yes. Rosie. It was at least consistent with other changes. Dulin, yes. Rosie, in March 2024, when I talked to you, you didn't think he was being deceptive. Dulin, that's correct. Rosie, you had many tasks, interviews with people, lists of cell phone towers? Dulin, yes. Rosie, sheer raw data, people passing through on the Who's Your Heartland Highway. Lots of people there that day, canvas of the crime scene. McClellan, objection outside of the scope. Dulin, I went out to the crime scene numerous times, several times I went out there. Rosie, 3 days after the girls, you found items, sticks, branches? Dulin, yes. Rosie, several times the crime scene techs had been back. People had access to the crime scene? Dulin, yes. Rosie, no security? Dulin, yes. Rosie, nothing controlling the traffic flow in and out of the crime scene? Rosie, do you believe there would have been 12-gauge shotgun shells in the woods? McClellan, objection, ask and answer. Judge Gall, if you're going to try to impeach him properly. Rosie, 6 hours were standard back in 2017. You're familiar with Smith & Wesson? Are they popular? Dulin, yes. McClellan, Captain Dulin, I want to focus on the fishing license. Rosie, objection. McClellan, I'll rephrase. Who purchased the licenses? You can see the IP, the credit card, the email? Dulin, yes. McClellan, if you look at your report, would that refresh your memory? Dulin, yes. McClellan, which credit card number was used to purchase those fishing licenses? Dulin, Richard Allen's credit card number ending in 2968 purchased both the Allen's licenses. The username I don't recall. Note, Kathy Allen is nodding her head in agreement during this testimony. McClellan, did he allow you to look at his texts? Dulin, no. McClellan, his pictures? Dulin, no. McClellan, his apps? Dulin, no. It was 11:17 a.m. Jury questions. Jury question number 1. Captain, the first time you interviewed him, what was his hair like? Dulin, I don't know. Jury question number 2. A question was asked about a new lead and the DMV. It was hard to hear. Dulin, I did not have access to. It was taken from my Word document. This is the end of the testimony for Captain Dan Dulin. Please note, Richard Allen and Andrew Baldwin are smiling, and Allen has his hands clasped behind his back yet again.